Western Spring Speedway on one of its more quiet moments. This track is undoubtedly the home of international midget car racing in the world today. The 1984-85 season saw something a little different happen here than in previous years, with 5 top American race car drivers competing here at one time against the best that New Zealand could offer. However, it was unfortunate that there was not any Australian representation here for this season. But the racing that happened between December 29th and January 12th will certainly be remembered for all time's sake. The challenging American team this season was captained by Sleepy Trip, with Larry Rice, Stan Fox, Bob Olivero, and a first-time visitor to New Zealand shores, Gene Jeniton. The New Zealand team was captained by Ted Tracy, with Owen Shaw, Pat Johnson, Paul Rollison, and a young rookie to midgets, Brett Horrobin. I spoke with New Zealand team captain Ted Tracy prior to the first test and asked him how he rated the American team.
The American team is excellent, got all the good drivers, got the good equipment, really very hard team to beat without doubt.
Do you think we can see a New Zealand victory this year or not?
The odds are that it's not in our favour, but by no means can we be ruled out. Everyone says that, but I really do think that, you know, we have got a good chance as long as we just keep our heads, finish the races, drive hard but drive clean.
So with the American team looking hot favourites to win the first test, I spoke with American team captain Sleepy Trip and asked him how he rated the New Zealand team.
Well, I think it's probably pretty weak. There's a couple of good guys, Owen and Ted, but the other 3 are probably, we don't really know that much about them.
So in other words, you're expecting a unanimous US victory?
Well, 3 of us haven't run on the track, so we might have a few mechanical problems, but if we're running, shouldn't be any contest.
Now this year, again, you face your arch-rival Ted Tracy, the New Zealand team captain. Can you see any problems arising from the racing?
Well, he hasn't really looked too good this year, but the track is pretty dry, so hard to tell until we get racing with him.
Okay, teams racing is a little different than the normal style of racing. So it was a very confident Sleepy Trip that headed to the track for the first race of a 5-race series that night. And to use his own words, as far as he was concerned, it was going to be no contest. So as the cars were pushed off, the large crowd knew that they were in for a great night of international midget racing. And the New Zealand team looked to have a real battle on its hands. We picked them up off Town Bend for the green flag. Paul Rollison runs high on the wall on Pine Tree Bend, but recovers well, but retires to the rear of the field. Ted Tracy is early race leader and is chased hard by a driver that came to New Zealand with a reputation of being a hard charger, Gene Jeniton. And with this being Gene's first trip to New Zealand, he was out there to certainly make his presence felt. Bob Olivero and Sleepy Trip are 3rd and 4th at this point, and as hard as Sleepy tried, he could not get by Olivero. This is Bob's 3rd trip to New Zealand, and he knows this track very well. Bob's last trip to New Zealand was in the 1980-81 season. Towards the end of the race, Tracy and Jeniton had opened up a sizable lead and lapped Paul Rollison. Paul Rollison's car had suffered damage when he was high on the wall on Pine Tree Bend. Ted Tracy takes a checkered flag with Gene Jeniton 2nd and Bob Olivero 3rd. Stan Fox lead the field away, but watch for Sleepy Trip. Let's take a look at that from another angle.
Well, at least he landed on his wheels again. Number 3, Sleepy Trip. The U.S. of A. Number 3, Sleepy Trip.
Tripp's car appeared to have suffered little damage after the flip, but a left front wheel was needed for him to be back in the race. So with a new wheel fitted, it was necessary for a quick lap to check the car and to make sure everything was okay so he could retake his position in the race. Stan Fox set a very fast pace early in the race with rookie Brett Horriban in hot pursuit.
On the outside of him is USA's number 1, Larry Wright. America, New Zealand, New Zealand. America, New Zealand.
Bob Olivero gets a little too far sideways under Paul Rollison but recovers quickly. Stan Fox loses it and takes Brett Horriban with him, allowing Ted Tracy and Larry Rice through for first and second place. So Ted Tracy takes his second win, with Larry Rice second and Stan Fox third. Owen Shaw and Larry Rice lead the pack off in race 3. Stan Fox spins again and takes Bob Olivero with him. This was not to be Stan's night. As the track got slicker, his car's setup got worse. On race restart, Ted Tracy has mechanical problems, but runs around the outside of the track and finishes the race to collect valuable points for New Zealand. Owen Short takes a decisive lead, but watch for Pat Johnson. Pat blew a power steering hose but ran on with the risk of fire. He also finished the race but gained those valuable points for New Zealand. As the race drew to an end, it was Owen Short with a half-lap lead on Larry Rice and Gene Jeniton. Owen Short takes a checkered flag with Larry Rice second and Gene Jeniton third. Pat Johnson starts this race off grid 1 with a very heavy steering, and Sleepy Trippers off grid 2. As the race progressed, Sleepy Trip, after hitting the front early, was opening up a gap on the rest of the field that would not be closed, even by fellow team member Gene Jeniton. So Sleepy Trip was the clear winner with Gene Jeniton second and Pat Johnson third. So as the drivers came to the last race of the first test, Bob Olivero and Paul Rollison lead the field away. Owen Short takes an early lead, but Sleepy Trip, knowing his team is desperate for points, starts to put the pressure on to catch Short. As they come to the last lap, Stan Fox spins again and forces a yellow light, which allows Owen Shaw's lead to be diminished. On race restart, it's a one-lap dash to the finish. But, try as he did, Sleepy Trip could not catch Owen Shaw. Owen Shaw takes his second win with Sleepy Trip second and Paul Rollison third. The spectators showed their appreciation in true Western Springs tradition, as the victorious New Zealand team came forward to accept their trophies. Ted Tracy praised the team for their efforts and a job well done, and all the New Zealand team had the satisfaction of knowing that what they had worked so hard for, they had achieved, and they had risen to the occasion from being the underdogs to take out the first test.